how is the NIL world different at LSU than from Notre Dame?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's incredible support here in the community. I think donors, embrace it. I don't want to speak for Notre Dame, but I don't know that all schools embrace it the same way. Here it's embraced as part of, what will be probably our reality, Rich, moving forward, that they are going to be part of recruiting and what you're going to have to do, in putting together name, image, and likeness deals. And so early on, the building of name, image, and likeness opportunities has been very successful down here. And I don't know that goes across the country yet, but everybody's kind of figuring out what's good for them. And it's not universal, right? Because there's different laws in different states. And I think there's different support from universities across the board.
I think the words "figuring it out" that you kind of just said is universal. We had Mac Brown of North Carolina on a couple of weeks ago. He said that things are just there's no rules. I mean, I'm sure you must have heard Dabo Swinney's comments to ESPN that might have crossed your eyes or your ears at some point, saying that the sport's heading for a reckoning, that there's really no rules about it. Are you seeing a similar experience, Brian Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, clearly the unintended consequences of this, when the ruling came down that kind of left it up to the universities and the states, there's no universal principles. However, you're guided by, federal laws relative to, taxable income. And so there are some, 1099s have to be shown for work. This is not, we're not at pay for play right now. We are still in your name, your image has got to be the reason for your compensation. So there are governing principles. Look, if you want to cheat, you can cheat at anything you want to cheat at. But there are governing principles in terms of how you do it. Now, we have to look at it as what are the incentives for name, image, and likeness. I want to attach GPA. I want to attach your community service work for you to get name, image, and likeness. There should be incentives for that. So I think we've got a plan. Could it be better if there's more stringent regulations on it? But I don't think we have time to pause. I think we have to hit the ground running and make sure that we don't get too far in front of ourselves, but be ready to put something together.
Brian Kelly here on the Rich Eisen Show. So I guess before I send you on with your day, now that you're a few weeks and months removed from your big decision to switch gigs and switch jobs and switch communities and switch programs, what did you learn from the process, I guess is the question, Brian Kelly, that the conversation, you were the first to go, or it was right after Lincoln Riley, and the conversation about coaches and leaving, and kids now have transfer portals and coaches get to leave. And what did you make of all of that now that we're a few months removed from it, Brian?
Well, I've been involved in it a couple of times. I was at Cincinnati, and I was at my banquet, the night that the news broke that I was going to Notre Dame, and I was in front of my team at Cincinnati when their phones blew up that I was taking the job at Notre Dame, and I was promised that wouldn't come out, and that would come out after my banquet. Somehow that got leaked. Then I was in a situation where this information wouldn't come out until I finished recruiting. It got out. The one thing I know is that I don't handle and I don't have any control over the timeline. All I have control over is the decisions that I make. And the decision in both of those instances, I decided to leave Cincinnati to go to Notre Dame, and I decided to leave Notre Dame to go LSU. But everything else, I didn't control the circumstances, which made it very difficult in both instances for me in addressing my team. And it's unfortunate. It stinks. But if I could control it, neither one of those scenarios that I just outlined to you would have ever happened.
I guess, stuff gets out, and it's a raw emotion. It's so raw, obviously,
No doubt.
when somebody like of your stature goes and leaves to a new community. And I just don't know if there's a fix to it. I mean, the conversation is always out there that you make it like the NFL, where there's a certain time period under which a person like yourself gets to leave or anything like that. Would you be up for something like that?
Absolutely. If it was a universal principle and everybody operated under the same setting, I would have absolutely no problem with it. It's just that there's no universal guidelines for it. And as I said, the timeline is the athletic director of that other institution. I mean, you have no control over that.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.